It all begins with the small things: missing meals, sleeping too much, staying away from friends, and avoiding conversations, until one day when even smiling becomes too difficult. Welcome to Life Scripts with Dynamic Precious, where we learn from life itself. And in today's session, I'm going to be telling you basic signs of depression that people ignore until it becomes a huge matter. You may have heard of unfortunate cases where somebody dies and they'll be like, what happened to him? Was he sick? And they tell you, no, he wasn't sick. He did not just do this. He did not just do that. But trust me, most percentage of such persons, depression happened, but nobody knew about it, and they did not take those signs seriously until they unfortunately kicked the bucket. Now, depression is an inward and emotional state of being low, feeling low, being downcasted, and all of that. Some people think that depression is sadness. No, depression is beyond sadness, and it is not an occasional thing. Once it persists beyond 2 weeks, then it is a state of emergency. It is something that needs rapid attention, because depression does not come to leave you the way you are. It brings you down lower than the way you are or the way you're supposed to be. That is why in this video I'm going to be telling you basic things to look out for when it is persisting in your behavior, in your physical outlook, or in your mental state. Then you know depression is around the corner and you need to do something about it. First is loss of appetite or food changes, and when it persists beyond 2 weeks, just know that depression is around the corner. How does this manifest? For some people, they eat too much. For some, they eat too less. But the most common is when people miss meal without feeling hungry, and they just feel like, I don't have appetite for anything. Something is wrong within. This occurs mostly because the brain chemical that is responsible for appetite is low. Next is consistent tiredness. This is when you feel tired and weak, even if you're just waking up from sleep. For some other persons, they don't have energy or the motivation to carry out their daily tasks or even their hobbies. This is because the energy and motivation signal in the brain is affected. And I must state that among every other organ in the body, when a person is depressed, the brain is the most affected. Sleeping problems is one of the strongest physical signs to look out for. For some people, they sleep too much. Others find it difficult to sleep. Meanwhile, some may sleep, but they wake up really early than usual. Like I said, when this occurrence happens more than 2 weeks, you have to pay attention to emotional signs to watch out for. In terms of feeling and mood, you become like sad, deeply sad, like from within. Some people may feel like, I don't even know what's wrong with me, what constitutes these emotions, but then you feel the pressure from inside and it affects your countenance. This is when smiling becomes a difficult task. The next is loss of interest in activities. It is also called loss of pleasure. In the normal routines you used to do, normal things that used to excite you, but now it doesn't. You don't even have energy to carry your body anymore. This is a warning note. Next is the feeling of hopelessness. This is when you feel like life does not worth the stress. Your job does not worth the stress. The relationship does not worth the stress. You don't even have a ray of hope about what you're doing, so it just burdens you down. Irritability and anger is another common emotional sign of depression that most people feel. Yes, this is when you're short-tempered. Little things can trigger your anger. You are easily irritable, easily offended, easily frustrated. This is a sign of depression. Behavioral signs to watch out for. The first is social withdrawal. This is when you no longer want to attend those social gatherings you find pleasure in attending before. You don't receive calls, you ignore messages, you avoid friends, you don't want to share your space, you feel like isolation is your preference right now. that is also an aspect of depression, and when it lingers for too long, it is dangerous. Depression slows down your mental processing. Yes, and this happens because that inner drive, joy, motivation a person has towards work, their relationship, their personal lives is already low. So their productivity is reduced drastically. For some other persons, it becomes difficult for them to make decisions. There's a saying that when your mind is tensed up, you are fenced up. When you're depressed, it is very difficult for your mind to generate ideas because you're not free, you're not joyful, nothing. Another aspect is lack of personal care and grooming, especially for a set of persons whom their depression is as a result of bereavement or rejection. You see that they don't tend to care for themselves. Some don't take their bath regularly. Some don't change their clothes, they wear dirty clothes, they don't even pay attention to their environment. They just live like that. No grooming, no self-care, nothing. Thinking and mental signs to watch out for. The first is difficulty in concentration. When you are depressed, it becomes too difficult. It becomes an effort for you to concentrate because your attention is divided. You're not focused in doing a particular thing. Your mind is crowded. Your mind seems like a marketplace playing in your head. You cannot easily concentrate in doing a thing. You cannot easily generate ideas. You don't even understand concepts easily. The next sign under this is negative thoughts about yourself. This is when you feel like you don't worth it. There's a kind of low self-esteem. Maybe due to the fact that different expectations you've had are not met yet. Different things you want to do or want to get have not been done yet, and you feel inadequate, you feel insufficient, or you feel like you are a burden. This is an aspect of depression that weighs people down, and some go on ahead for a long time with this feeling, and that is what introduces that suicidal tendency. They don't see anything meaningful about life, about what they do, about themselves, and they feel like, let me just end it. You see, depression is a very important matter. It's a state of emergency that needs attention because your life and your productivity depends on it. Hey, depression is not an emotion to manage at all because we live inside out, and depression kills a person from within. It doesn't matter how healthy you may look at a point, how chubby you may look at a point, and you tend to manage all of these signs we've talked about. It just takes a matter of time. Even your physical outlook will react to that inner reality. Depression affects your mind, it affects your thoughts, it affects your emotion, it affects your behavior. Nobody who is depressed remains the same or becomes a better version of themselves. So resolving or treating that state is core. Depression makes you numb, it makes you lose confidence in yourself, it makes you lose interest even in the things that matter. Depression makes you sick and makes you a candidate, like you always go to the hospital. You feel back aches, body aches, and all of the aches even without doing strenuous activities. Depression makes you lose confidence about yourself, about life. It also makes you lose interest about the things that really matters and make life meaningful or worth living. Depression is not something to toy with. I will say it over and over again. Alright guys, I'll leave you at this point, but you have a sole responsibility to do a check to see any of the signs you felt or you're feeling right now. And in my next video, I will give you the antidotes or the solutions to all of these signs of depression. Here on Life Script, we don't just see the problem, we also propose the solution. So I'd like you to like this video, share, drop your comment, and subscribe to this channel. My love for you is 100, full package. Until I see you in the next session, bye for now.